Let's talk and continue our down and out series. We've been focusing on the non-playoff teams over the last number of days. Today, it's the Seattle Kraken. And I think by all accounts, Chris, a really disappointing year for the Kraken. Some people had picked this team heading into the season as a playoff team. Their over-under point total from Vegas set at 92.5. They're not even close. They've had a points percentage in the threes for the bulk of the season. Got off to a bit of a slow start, never really recovered. And the big thing that stands out to me is really just their lack of offense. You take a look at their point getters here in a year with historic offensive seasons. The highest scorer on the Seattle Kraken, Jared McCann, 44 points in 67 games. What to you is the number one priority heading into the offseason for the Kraken?
Well, it's funny you mentioned McCann at 44 points because that was the same observation I had. You've got 5 or 6 guys in the league with more goals than their highest scorer has points. So, clearly they need to address their scoring. It's unfortunate for the Kraken that they've been compared to Vegas, right? Who, as an expansion cousin, had such a strong season in their first year. And so the Kraken haven't been looked upon the way we've looked at other expansion teams in the past where, this kind of record might seem kind of par for the course instead of so disappointing. But, the Kraken have a lot of cap space and they have a lot of draft picks. So if they can translate either or both of those into some offensive-minded players and bring those in to bolster, a guy like Matty Beniers who's come in now and looks like, he's going to be a great player in the league for a long time. So, I don't think we need to hit the panic button with them. It's obviously very early in their existence, and they've got some tools to get better in a hurry. So, but adding offense is clearly the number one priority for them.
Yeah, they certainly have some tools to help get better with that salary cap space that you mentioned and the draft picks. The key for me isn't even necessarily just offense. You need difference makers. And I think that's the one thing you look back on the expansion draft and you say, there were so many opportunities there to maybe get a player who could be a difference maker. And even if he wasn't going to be with your team for a long time, you look at the season that a Tarasenko has had, for instance, why not? Why wouldn't you have taken a flyer on a guy like him? Carrie Price, a little bit of a different story with the injury history and the opportunity that they had to pry him from Montreal. When you take a look at their goaltending and how historically bad it's been this season, you have to go back 30-some years to find a team that's had goaltending as bad as the Kraken. And on top of that, Chris, I think the other big question is their coach. Dave Haxtell, I kind of scratched my head at the hire when I heard it to begin with. I think he struggled a bit at times. And of course, we talked about the roster and their construction. He hasn't necessarily been handed a finished product, but I'd be really curious to see how long Dave Haxtell lasts in Seattle. It was a quick turn in Vegas with the Golden Knights and Gerard Gallant, 2.5 years for a coach that got an expansion team to the Stanley Cup final. You see the bump that the New York Rangers got. I'm wondering if Dave Haxtell ends up lasting a shorter time than even Gerard Gallant did at the start with the Vegas Golden Knights. It's going to be interesting. A lot of work for Ron Francis and the Kraken to do this summer.